True Studio Assistance from TruEmbroidery software for Mac. Demo 2. Something original created by you. Part 1. Create a unique embroidery from a PDF graphic. You can work on many projects at the same time. Simply select File and New or touch Command N to open a new program window. You may open as many program windows as you wish in the TruEmbroidery applications. Select Assistance and then select Quick Create. Quick Create into Hoop to create an embroidery no larger than the selected hoop. To open an image, click Select File and browse out into the images stored on your computer in the sample folders. We'll choose from Samples and we'll choose a PDF file, and we're going to work with a PDF graphic. Here's a little rainbow, so we'll select Open, and it's going to load back into the Quick Create Assistant, choose Picture, so that we're ready to start designing our embroidery. Click Continue, and you're going to go to Rotate and Crop Picture. The picture is cropped automatically and we don't need to change anything, so just select Continue. Next you'll go to Design Size, and here, if you don't want the embroidery as large as the whole hoop, you can select a slightly smaller size. We're going to make ours 100 millimeters in width, and then select Continue. Next, we can choose thread colors. In Choose Thread Colors, we can browse to the brand of thread that we wish to use for our embroidery, and the colors will map themselves automatically from the source picture or original picture into the preview of how our design will stitch. Make sure there's a check and remove background color so that any areas of white around the outside of the rainbow will not be turned into stitches. We're going to select the eyedropper, because in the image at left we have a couple of colors that are not in our preview at right. So click with the eyedropper and these colors will be added to the thread color preview and to our finished embroidery design. Select Continue again, and you're now in the thread color preview. Here you can choose the type of fabric on which you'll embroidery to optimize your stitches for that fabric. And you can set preferred stitch type to fill or satin or somewhere in between. We'll leave ours at fill and select Continue again. In the design preview, you can see the total number of stitches, the width and height of your design, and the number of thread color changes. We're all through, so select Done. There's your finished embroidery, ready to save or export in one of many different file formats, and you can stitch your unique embroidery. Part 2. Create a portrait from a digital photo. Touch Command N on your keyboard to open an additional program window. Click Assistance, then Portrait, Portrait into Rectangle. Click and drag a rectangle the size that you would like your portrait to be within the hoop. In the Portrait Assistant, we'll select the file for our picture. We'll use a photograph that's already loaded into our sample folder and change the preview so that we can actually see the pictures as thumbnails. But you could use a digital photograph that you have taken yourself as well. Click Continue. And in Choose Embroidery Type, you have 4 styles of portrait embroidery. Color portrait embroidery, sepia portrait embroidery, which is excellent for the older black and white photographs, and monochrome portrait or monochrome linear specialty type of portrait stitches. We'll create a color portrait embroidery and click Continue. In Rotate and Crop Picture, The crop box selects the image automatically and does not need any adjusting. So we'll click Continue. In design size, the size was determined by the rectangle that we drew when we chose the portrait assistant. If we wish to override this size and make it larger or smaller, we could, but we'll leave it the way we drew our rectangle and select Continue. You may get a pop-up that tells you that a larger portrait may take a longer time to create the stitches. Simply click OK, and then you'll be in Choose Thread Colors. In Choose Thread Colors, we can choose the threads that we want to stitch with our embroidery, and everything else is ready to go. You can see the preview on the right in the thread color preview, so select Continue. It's generating our embroidery, and depending on the size of the hoop and the density of stitches, it may take a few moments to generate the embroidery. When it's finished, you'll see a preview of your design along with the stitch information such as height and width, the number of stitches, and the number of thread colors used. Note also you can change the density to make your stitches thicker or thinner, and you can enhance detail, which is good for portraits that do not have a lot of detail in them. We're ready to go, so we'll select Done, and our portrait is loaded into the hoop and ready to stitch. Let's finish this off by adding a frame. So we'll go to the frames in the control panel, and in the frames we'll choose the frame set and Art Deco 1. Select the frame that you prefer, and we're going to change settings to crop and combine. This will cut away part of the picture and set the frame in, giving a neat finish to our portrait embroidery. Our portrait is through and ready to save, file and save, or file and export in one of many different file types for your personal embroidery machine.